To order. Welcome to the Finance and Audit Commission February 15th special meeting. This is a hybrid meeting with the Finance and Audit Commission members, city staff, and members of the public participating in the downtown conference room and participating remotely. We'll start off with roll call. I would like to introduce staff and Finance and Audit Commission members present. Lynn Bramlett online. Jayanta Day, Jeff LaRoe, Matt Normington.
Here.
Susan Prohaska. Here. And myself, Carol Wong. Staff present include Administrative Services Director Brittany Mello, Assistant Administrative Director Jared Hansen, Interim Finance and Budget Manager Ronnie Singh. I don't see Ying, and Management Analyst Adrian Patino. Adrian, would you please provide instructions to the Finance and Audit Commission and members of the public on how the meeting will proceed?
All right. Thank you, Chair Wong and the members of the Finance and Audit Commission. Welcome everyone to the February 15th special meeting of the Finance and Audit Commission, and thank you for attending. At this time, we ask that the virtual members of the Finance and Audit Commission please remain on screen for the duration of the meeting. You will control your own webcams and microphones. Staff will engage in webcams and microphones to make presentations and respond to members of the Finance and Audit Commission. For members of the public who are in attendance and wish to provide public comment on an item on tonight's agenda, after the chair calls for public comment on the item you wish to speak, please, for virtual participants, engage in the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. If you are calling in from a landline or from a cell phone, please press *9. And if you are in person, please complete a speaker card and return it to staff. That concludes the instructions, and I return the meeting to the chair.
Thank you, Adrian. So let's go on to our item of regular business. Under regular business, the Finance and Audit Commission considers recommendations from city staff on policy matters or administrative actions that require Finance and Audit Commission approval. Our regular business item is to review the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023, and recommend receipt by City Council. To introduce, I'd like to introduce Management Analyst Adrian Patino to introduce the item.
Thank you, Chair. So we are here tonight to review the annual comprehensive financial report for the last fiscal year, June 30th, 2023. I'd like to start with a bit of a moment of recognition for the entire Administrative Services Department. The production of this report is truly a hands-on effort that requires a lot of hard work and collaboration from everybody on the team. So a big shout out to the staff here at the city for putting another successful ACFR and audit process before the commission and later City Council. So tonight we're asking for the Finance and Audit Commission to review and recommend receipt of this report by City Council. Here tonight from the city's auditor, the Poon Group, we have Mark who will be providing a presentation to kind of give an overview of the kind of the key audit and financial results that are included in the report. So I will pass it off to Mark.
Good evening, all members of the Finance Audit Committee. My name is Mark Hu. I'm the auditor of the city of Menlo Park. Adrian, could you please share the PowerPoint? Yep.
Slides.
Yeah, on the second page. Yeah, so there are 5 topics. The required communication, which is AUC 260, auditor responsibilities, overview of financial statement, finance indicator, and the key informations. And the last is the audit results. The first one is a required communication. Please do the next one. Yeah, so the pen group complied with all independence requirements, both at the firm and at the individual level. And the significant audit accounting policy, the CD disclosed all the significant accounting policy in Note 1, and also the CD implement the GASB 96, which is subscription-based IT arrangements. The significant estimate include the fair value on the investment, depreciation on the capital asset, and the net pension and the OPEB liability actuarial inputs. Next one. So these are the sensitive disclosure, include the summary of significant accounting policy, lease receivable, pension, OPEB, the fund balance, and litigation, and prior period adjustment. So there's no incorrect misstatement reported during this audit. The conclusion is also the management informed us that there's no consultants with other accountants regarding the audit and other matters. Yeah, so the significant difficulty, we do not have any significant difficulties in dealing with the management. Also, we do not have any disagreement with the management in terms of the accounting treatments or the audit procedure performed. So right now, its audit responsibility include the responsible for the financial statement, present the financial statement in accordance with the accounting policy based on the general accepted accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. Also, we adopt the sounding policy, accounting policy. Also, we evaluate the establish and maintain the this is a management responsibility. That's include the management should be responsible for the financial statement and present the financial statement according to the GAAP. Also adopt the accounting policy, establish and maintain the internal control over financial statement and the compliance. Also provide evidence support to support the financial statement and the related disclosures. Also, the last is to prevent and detect fraud. The auditor's responsibility is to form and express an opinion on the financial statement. Also to perform the plan and to perform the audit to obtain a reasonable assurance on the financial statement free from the material misstatement. Also, the auditor considered internal control or financial reporting. Such the consideration were solely the purpose of determining our audit procedure and not to provide any assurance or concern such internal control. So right now it's the overall the financial statement. The total assets went down about 6.5% in 2022. Also had the entire portion of lease receivable, about 37 million, classified as a current asset. In 2023, only a small portion of the 36 million of lease receivable were included in the current assets, while the rest was moved to non-current asset. The deferred outflow and inflow of resources show large swings due to the difference in corporate investment earnings from the measurement period ended June 30, 2021, which is about 20% positive. And also in 2022, which is about 6% negative. This has also had a large impact on the city's net pension liability change from 2022 to 2023. The total net position for the city has a whole increase by 31.5 million in fiscal year 2023. So expenses means see increase in the governmental activities. Again, a good portion of this is due to the change in the net pension liability, which went from 35 million in 2022 to 72 million in 2023. The capital grants and the contribution, so 5.8 million for urban development and housing, and the 3.4 million for culture and recreation, as well as 1.45 million for general government in 2023. The investment earnings went back on the positive side in 2023 compared to the loss in 2022. Remember, we already talked about the CalPERS portion 2022 investment years, the poor 2022 investment years, and how those affected some of the city's numbers a year later in 2023. 2023 also has 4.4 million extraordinary items for the accrued legal settlement payable in the general fund and related to the unauthorized collection of the utility user tax. Overall, the net position for the city as a whole was a positive by 31.5 million, outpacing 2022's increase of 29.3 million. Next one. So this is the condensed balance sheet, include assets, liability, deferred inflows, and financial statement, fund balance. So non-spendable equal to the land held for resale and prepaid items. So restricted equal by third party or by the enabling legislation, none in the general fund. All are in the special revenue funds. Committed it should be by the council resolution, 2.3 million for the pension funding, 10.7 million for emergency contingency, and 14.3 million for economic stabilization. The sign include the city council has authority city manager to determine assign the financial fund balance. So the unsigned is the residual. Next one. So the total change in fund balance, which is 1.7 million, versus -4 million in 2022, so which is an increase of 6.7 million. The change in fund balance would have been 6.1 million without extraordinary items. So part period adjustment were made on the government-wide statement to move certain pension and OPEB items from business type of activities to the governmental activities, which is the internal service fund, as well as to adjust the beginning balance of unavailable revenue in the governmental activities. The net effect of this prior period adjustment was 1.6 million change from what was reported in 2022. Also, GASB 96 beta implementation had effects on certain line items reported in 2022, include the capital assets and long-term debt, but had an overall net zero effect on ending 2022 net position. So those are not shown here. Next one. So this is what the prior period adjustment looked like at the fund level. So basically, in the general fund, we had we only reclassed the 1.3 million for the developer special revenue fund out of the general fund. The others, in the water funds, the enterprise funds are just for the reclassify of the pension and the OPEB. Next one. The financial indicators. The ratio above 100% is good. Right now, the tax revenue to the net cost of service ratio is 158% in 2023 and 172% in 2022. So which means that the tax revenue are sufficient to cover the net cost of providing service without dipping into net position or relying on the investment earnings or miscellaneous income. The net cost of providing service is what we get after we take charge for services and operating grants and contributions and subtract expenses. The ratio fell a bit in 2023, but the city is still in good position as far as this ratio is concerned, with an excess of tax revenues over the net cost of services of over 24 million in 2023. So unassigned fund balance is residual fund balance after removing non-spendable fund balance, include prepaid, inventory, long-term portion of receivables, etc. And also the restricted fund balance and the fund balance amount that has been committed by the council or signed by the management for the special purposes. Ordinarily, we would consider these ratios to be extremely low. However, it is important to note again that the city has committed 27 million of fund balance in the general fund, and a good portion of that is for emergency contingencies and economic stabilization. If council did not set those funds aside, those amounts would be included in the unsigned fund balance, and that would indicate a healthy general fund. Next one. The city funded percentage went down about for each plan in 2023. This is again is due to the copper having a poor investment year in 2022. We will also note that the coppers had a really good investment year in 2021, and those gains were seen in the funded percentage of the prior year. For 2023, the city is back around its historical levels for funded percentage as 2022 was a bit of an anomaly as far as coppers goes. For the OPEB, the measured at 6.75% in prior year, the long-term municipal bond rate. The city had a net OPEB asset of 1.4 million at June 30, 2023, which down from a net OPEB assets of 4.4 million in 2022. Again, this can be mostly attributed to copper's investment return being agreed in 2021 and not so good in 2022. The funded percentage fell from 121% to 107%, but the city is still in assets territory for OPEB, which is really great. So this is audit result. So in the annual comprehensive financial report, we issued an unmodified opinion for all the opinion unit and include financial statement fairly presenting all material respect. The accounting policy has been consistently applied. Estimate used are reasonable. Also, the disclosure are properly reflected in the financial statement. The audit issue note, so just the journal entry were necessary for the pension and OPEB items. The Gatsby is 87 lease-related items, capital assets, transfers, speed of implementation, settlement payable, and the long-term debt. The prior period adjustment has already been spelled out in the earlier slide. So we also issued the child care report, also the Measure A fund and the Measure W fund compliant report. So there's no disagreement with management. Again, there's no material weakness or significant deficiency were identified in the internal control or financial reporting or compliance. And there's no accounting issue where was a question or there's no improper activities were noted. All right, that's it. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Mark from the Pun Group. And I guess, are there any clarifying questions from the Finance and Audit Commission before taking it to public comment? Yeah.
The allocation for emergency funds, is that targeted to specific items, or is that just a general emergency fund? So if there's a flood, if there's terrorist attack, fire, whatever, that's just a general fund? There's no specific allocation for that?
The allocation, sorry, the allocation that's listed for that's in the fund balance policy. It's on page, if you're looking at the actual AFR, it's starting on page 83 of the PDF file.
Okay.
It talks about the emergency contingency. It was established in 2011 and then updated in 2014 as they did the formal policy. And the goal of that is to have 15 to 20% of the general fund's annual operating budget to allow for quick and decisive response to events such as natural disasters, catastrophic accidents, or other declared emergency incidents. And that has to be done by council resolution establishing that commitment.
Okay,
And
you
using
said
that.
page 83?
Page 83. Mhm.
I only have 71 pages.
So the ACFR, you can go to menlopark.gov/ACFR.
Okay.
And the full ACFR's there, that's how I'm viewing it.
Oh,
Maybe there was
yeah, it looks like
a
this.
loading issue.
It does look.
There's a loading.
It-
Yeah,
there
is some.
Different computers seem to be loading a little more slowly, because it's such a huge document,
Gotcha.
but, so page 83 of the report, if you were looking online.
That seemed to actually download.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, otherwise I'm stuck in loading. That didn't work.
That was strange because mine was doing the same thing. It's
Yeah,
loading.
I just hit the download button.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for answering the question.
Yeah, but if you look on page 83, it'll talk about the emergency contingency, what's that used for, the economic stabilization, what that could be used for, as well as the strategic plans and how that could be used as well. And all three of those require a council action in order to be able to use any of that money.
Any other questions? Lynn, I know you're on the line. If you have questions, feel free to.
I do have questions, but for later after the public comment. If that's, I don't have any clarifying questions right now, at least I don't believe so. I'm not sure you categorize them, but I do have some questions.
I have a sort of maybe a more general question. I've been just looking at, for example, and this is for, for no specific reason, I just spent some time looking at the Belhaven CDC report. Do you have any sort of qualitative comments or insights based on the report other than, sort of it looks good and kosher?
Oh, sorry, you asked me?
Yes, I did.
Okay, sorry, little blurred. Can you just repeat your question?
Yeah, I was wondering, for example, for the Belhaven Child Development Center, do you have sort of, other than mentioning that, sort of the budget looked right and the audit report passed, do you have any qualitative comments or insights?
For
Beyond
the child care center?
Yes.
Give me a second. I think the child center this year is looking great. As it's basically it's not, there's no huge fluctuation between the current year with last year. So which is looking good. But major, we're doing the compliant audit on the childcare. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I did want to clarify a little bit. It's the description that the assistant director was saying for the emergency contingency and where you can find those defined is page 83 of the PDF. But
Yes.
page 61 of the ACFR, just
Yes.
to make it perfectly clear.
Thank you for clarifying.
Any other clarifying questions? If not, I do have one, and I don't know if it's clarifying question or not, but I believe this is the first year the PUN group is auditing the city. So I was wondering whether the PUN group did any sort of review of prior auditor work papers or anything like that. How did, you get comfortable with this new engagement?
Oh, yes, we did review the Decider auditor report, and we also sent out the letters and get a response from the Decider auditors. As you can see, we have some of the prior period adjustment, which something include like we funded some misstatement in the fiscal year 22 ACFR, something like they put unavailable revenue in the liability in the government wide, but it turned out it should be eliminated in the throughout the GASB 34. So it should not present at all in the governmental wide statement, something like that. Also, internal service fund, they last year they have they have salaries, right? So being allocated. So it should be, so the pension and the OPEB also should be allocated to the internal service fund, but they didn't. So this year we made that correction for the prior year ending balance, which we just the beginning balance for the current year. So, but overall, the city looks good.
Thank you. And another clarifying question. You mentioned that you reviewed internal controls, or was there an audit over the internal controls?
Oh, we do not express any opinion on the internal control, but we do because we did the test of control on some significant cycles, include the revenue, payroll cycles, and expenditure cycles, and the financial reporting cycles. And there's no significant finding or significant exception noted during the test of control testing. So, but again, we do not express any opinion on that. So.
Okay, thank you. Lynn?
Thank you, Chair Wong. I want to build on your comment because one of my questions pertained to the internal controls. I noticed that vendors were listed, and in your experience, how do other, there's internal controls and then there could be transparency as part of the control. So can you comment as to how other jurisdictions handle the vendor payment reports? For general transparency or possible review?
You mean during the expenditure, the procurement process? So
No,
yeah.
No, I mean after. I just, if that's appropriate, if you have some insight and could comment, that would be great. To me, I see the matter as related.
So the other things we do two testing, I can tell is one is with so vendor list compare the employee list as a part of the fraud testing. So there's no exception noted. So which means there's no employee as a vendor to get the money from the city. The other one is we doing some expenditure testing as a test of control, part of the internal control. We select basically we select 40 samples in the expenses test of control, and we test whether there's appropriate approval before reimburse the expenses, and there's no question on that. There's no like exception noted. So.
Anyone else have any clarifying questions? So moving on, Adrian, do we have any public comment?
For members of the public who would like to comment on item C1 of tonight's agenda, review the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023, and recommend receipt by City Council. If you are logged in via Zoom, please engage the raised hand feature at the bottom of your screen. If you are calling in from a landline or from a cell phone, please press *9. And if you are in person, please complete a speaker card and return it to me. I'm seeing no request for public comment at this time. You may continue.
I'll now open it for Finance and Audit Commission discussion. Any particular item we'd like to discuss after review? Any other questions? Oh, Lynn,
I have
Go
a
ahead.
few, but I'll try to just ask a few and then yield and maybe come back. I have a few comments too. So the city's, at our last meeting, we heard from Administrative Services Director Mello that the city has been awarded 84.2 million in grants. And, you know, we have the ARPA funds. And so my question to you, Mr. Hu, will all this money coming into the city require additional tracking, reporting, and auditing requirements in the coming years? You know, and if so, you know, what perspective might you have for us? Because just
Oh.
based on, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because this is a federal money, it's a subject to the single audit, and which we're working on the single audit testing. So the ARPA money gonna be, I think the major program is the ARPA money. We're gonna test on that for the how the money come in, how the money spent to comply the single audit requirement. That will be write it in the single audit report. So if you want, if we can schedule a time after issuing the single audit report, you will get an answer for that.
That'd be great. Thank you. And my other question, one other is, so, you know, I imagine you read everything that was in the report too, though I understand the staff prepared it. Oh, and let me compliment the staff. It's clearly a huge amount of work went into all this. But I noticed that the letter at the beginning had some performance results tied to the city departments, along with some financial detail. And by the way, the Public Works got their accreditation, so I make a friendly suggestion to change that part. You know, they got their accreditation. So in your opinion, Mr. Hu, do you have any insight from other jurisdictions in terms of how they incorporate performance results tied to financial documents, including the AFCR, I want to call it the CAFRA, and the budget documents? Do you have any insight into that?
So in the we have the budget versus actual comparisons for the major fund and also for all the non-major fund as a supplementary information section. So you can see that. So we do not express any opinion on the supplementary information. We're just trying to present that as a fairly, there's no big misstatement.
Right. I'm sorry. Let me ask my question a little better. So in the letter from the city manager and the assistant city manager, there was, you know, each department submitted information about kind of their successes, if you will. I mean, you know, it was kind of narrative detail. So I guess my question to you is, and then coincidentally, we're having a goal setting meeting where the staff report had more performance detail tied to the city council goals. So I guess I was just asking if you have an opinion as to some other ways of doing that, including some aspect of that as a narrative, you know, in either the letter or in the MD&A sections. So, you know, because I imagine you've read a lot of reports. So, you know, I'm curious if you've seen some that you thought were particularly noteworthy, you know, that I could look at, or just anyone. So I'm just want to get your perspective. And I don't think there was anything wrong with that. Please don't misunderstand, but I just want to get your insight since you're here.
There's there are some specific requirement for the in the MD&A section to to present some certain items has to be is required. Some items has to be required to discuss in the MD&A, which means what I see is all the required disclosure already discussed in this MD&A letters. And yeah, I think this is, if this is what you ask.
Okay, I'll make one more comment and then I'll yield the floor just to the staff, and it's so easy with a big document. I believe I read that on, and I didn't. One page it listed property tax. Oh, page 21, the revenue 37%, and in the transmittal letter, it was listed as 39%. And then in the org chart, it looked like quite a few people have quit recently. And I hope that's not true, but what's in the one I printed out is different from the one from last week. I mean, Stephen Stolte isn't there. Nikki Nagai isn't there, but I think they're still at the city. At least I hope so. So I will now yield the floor.
Thank you, Lynn. Staff, any comments on that? I hope.
Sure, for the org chart part, and I'll leave any other section to our financial expert. The version that there's two versions on the website, the 2022 that's already been adopted by council, and then the 2023. So I'd first make sure you're looking at the 2023, and the org chart in that section lists the titles of the individuals in bold, larger font, and then smaller font, it lists the names of the folks. So, of course, this was as of June 30th, 2023. So, for instance, you do see Stephen Stolte there for the assistant city manager who was hired last January, excuse me. But the community development department head was vacant as of June 30th, 2023. Our team has grown on the executive team actually since this, date of this report. Happy to share there have not been resignations of our assistant or deputy city manager.
Sounds good. Thank you. Any other discussion points from my fellow commission members?
Just one thing I just wanted to clarify. One of the differences that you're seeing in the property tax numbers is you're looking at two different ways of looking at it. You're looking at just the general fund, and then you're looking at citywide. And when you look at it, they're different comparisons. So one of them talks about specifically the general fund number and what the percentage is there. The other one talks about the citywide and what it is there. So that's probably why you're seeing a percentage difference, is because it's two different measures of focus on the different statements.
Thank you. Okay, not a lot of questions from this crowd.
I have more, but I don't want to, please, I don't want to, talk too much, but yeah, I did look through it and I am curious. The community block grants, I'm curious who administers these on the staff. Maybe that would be more for the staff. So that would be one question. And then I have a few others.
Yes, the CDBG grants go through the community development department. That's where the redevelopment agency used to be housed, or redevelopment used to be housed. And then so that's kind of a legacy of that, and continues to have some CDBG funding.
And then I'm curious about the city's leases. So I was a little confused by the section, but it it's probably just me. Would leases like the public-private partnership with Little House be in that category? Is that considered a lease of city land? We lease out property we own, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so would it be possible to receive a list of all the leased property by address along with the amount they pay yearly? Or tell me a little bit more about what would be in that category. If you could give me some examples, that would be helpful.
Is that something possibly that Ying might be able to speak to, our senior accountant?
So we have multiple leases, but the leases in effort will be just the leases qualified for Gatsby 87.
Okay,
So we starting from fiscal year 22, we evaluate all the leases and to decide which one qualify for meet the Gatsby 87 requirement. Then this year, fiscal year 23, we use the debt book to import all the important segments, then do a lot of general voucher preparation and the audit report from this platform.
thank you very much. Okay, just two more questions and then I'll stop. The Menlo Park Fire Protection District, page 182, the table. I thought they got a share of the property tax. I don't know if it's recorded normally in the table like that. But I was just surprised it wasn't there because I actually thought they got a high percentage of the property tax dollar. And then one other, I really liked the listing of services and the requests. I thought that was great. And I note that the staff organization keeps growing, which is expected, but our council remains at 5. And so their workload, I would think, just keeps going up, up, up. So I think I'll, just stop here. These are the main questions that I have. And again, I so appreciate the work and I thought it was straightforward and other than the tiny print at times, it was, I needed a magnifying glass. So anyway, I thought it was quite informative and something I could follow the way the funds were. I saw the grants and, as I went along and it was very helpful to me. Thank you.
I'm going to attempt to try to answer the fire question and I'm going to see if Jared's able to answer, but property tax is collected at the higher level, right? And then we get our portion. So the portion that is under different requirements to go elsewhere isn't going to show up in ours because we're not actually receiving that money. We're receiving just a small portion of all the property tax collected. And so property taxes go to the fire district, but those wouldn't show up in our organization's actual flow through the city.
Oh, they just go.
It does not flow, the county collects them and then we get a portion, yes.
So if you look at your property tax bill, each of the property items are listed separately on your tax bill. It'll say what portion went to the fire district, what portion went to the city, what portion goes to the state, what portion goes to all the different agencies and school districts and all that. That's where you'll find all that information. What page number did you say that was on? I don't see that.
Yes, just one moment, please. Page 182.
Is that the PDF page number?
Yeah, it was
Or
at
is
the
that-
city. I had trouble loading it too, but at the city's website, I was able to print from that. So it was that version. Do you want me to hold the paper up? Would that help or no?
Yeah, because when I look at page 182, both in the PDF and in the actual page 182, I don't see that. So yeah, if you could,
Sure.
so I know which page you're referring to.
Internal funds.
Is that the liability for the fire?
She's gonna show.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope I can.
There's one of those.
It's not, I think I have the wrong page number,
That's helpful.
Okay.
but let me keep looking.
All right.
Because the only thing I could find for fire is where it talked about our liability fire insurance fund, and that's our just general liability insurance.
I'm
that the
pretty
city
sure
has.
yeah, it listed the schools, it listed the tax dollar, it listed the schools. And it was on that page. So if I can't find it during the meeting, I can send an email. I don't know if I have your email, but I can send it
This
to.
is the debt capacity of the city. So what we're required to disclose in the statistical section is we're required to disclose, but is direct and overlapping tax assessments. So because you live in the area, you may be subject to multiple taxing entities, and we have to list the total percentage that's taxed for each of those entities. And so that's what that amount, or that's what that table is showing. And that's, it's the PDF page 265 or the ACFR page 243. I think that's the one you're referring to.
Just for the clarification, I'll follow up after the meeting because I know I'll get the page and here's the document I read it in and here it was. Okay.
You're
But you've
probably
answered
looking
my
at
question.
Yeah, you're probably looking at page 243 is my guess.
We don't have to, I don't want to get bogged down in this, but I printed just the document itself, not the one with the staff report. And so the page numbering might be different, but this is I will find the page, but it's the actual page printed on it. So
Okay.
for the record, I'll follow up on it after.
Anyone else have any questions for discussion? I did have one last one and I sort of wanted to link it up with something we might have talked about at a prior meeting. But the provision for litigation, does that relate to the item that we have a subcommittee on to look to fund a specific deficit? I just want to understand if those things are linked. Because I do remember at the last meeting, we talked about trying to understand what that deficit was in a little bit more detail because we received a request to look into where we find, where we'd find the funds to cover it. So I was not sure if it related to this litigation or whether it was something else. And maybe finding it on the ACFR might just help everyone better understand what it is.
Is that related to the pension and OPEB liabilities and the unfunded liability for that, or is that?
No, I
Or the
think it was-
redevelopment?
Yes, I
Redevelopment.
think that might, okay, so it's not litigation, okay.
Okay, so that is disclosed in the ACFR. That would be under the fiduciary section, because we are a fiduciary for the redevelopment agency. We don't actually, we're just basically getting funds, passing it through and paying off the debt. So where you'll find those statements, that's going to be, let me tell you the page. PDF.
16.
I was gonna say 38. Yes,
You're
both
right.
is accurate. Page 38 of the PDF or page 16 of the printed ACFR talks about the redevelopment agency.
And then the actual statements for the fiduciary fund and redevelopment agency start on page 69 in the PDF or page 47 in the printed. And that's where you'll see the statements, which shows the ins and outs of that fund. What changed, what's the balance remaining?
Yeah.
How much debt still due?
Well, thank you, because I remember it came up at the last meeting and we kind of put a pin in it and said we would look at it again when we had the financials in front of us. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful, Susan. Yeah. Oh, this was in there as well, but yeah. That's what. Okay, so that was, well, I lied, I had one. small- So I know, we talked about the change in the net pension liabilities mainly being driven by, CalPERS having a bad investment year. Is that the only reason, or is there anything else that's sort of driving that number? No is, not like no is no.
I mean,
Maybe, does Mark officially want to answer that?
I was gonna say maybe, since I can speak
can
in
give
general
broad
terms to
context,
it,
but
but I can't talk specifics about things that change, but every year, just as a high level, there's an actuarial report that's issued that basically says this is how much it is, it's gonna cost us for the future benefits. And then that number is used to determine with the number of plan participants and active members as of a certain time, and we're like three 3 years behind. So the measurement date and the You can probably explain it a little bit better, but there's 3 different dates that we look at when the actuarial report's done, the measurement date, and then participant count as whatever date that is. Those are all used to then develop what the actuarial report is, which turns out to be what the liability is.
Mhm.
And then based on that, CalPERS sets a rate that says, okay, if we get a 6% return on investment, that means that we need to invest however much money, and they do the net present value, basically.
Mhm.
I'm oversimplifying it, but they do that calculation to figure out this is how much it is that you need to start investing now and in the future in order to get that particular point. If they don't make that return, then of course that changes it. The other assumptions that change in there are the age of the participants,
Mhm.
kind of the general information there. And there is a note in the financial statements about that. That would be on. No.
While he's looking for that, PERS used to be super confident in their rate of return and that, and their assumptions were, less conservative, and they've gotten more and more conservative. People are living longer, we have
Yeah.
better healthcare.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so their expected rate of return has lowered over time.
Mhm.
And many years, they still don't meet that rate of return. When there's a gap, that creates new unfunded liability that then gets added to the books. There's still that delay that Assistant Director Hansen was speaking about, but that's like how that works at a very high level.
And you're on page 106 in the, not in PDF, but the page number printed 106, which ends up being. Actually, that's the schedule. Keep going, I'll find it.
Mark, did you have anything to add on the pension liability?
The pension liability, I think what I understand the question is that except the poor investment in 2022, what else gonna be the reason of the change of the pension liability, right? So if you can look at the report page 84 or PDF page 106, you will find a roll forward actually from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. This is a miscellaneous plans. So if you can see, we have service costs, we have interest on the pension liabilities. Also, we have some changing some assumptions. Also, the contribution from employer and the contribution employee. Also, I think the big chunk is the net investment income. Those are the factors to affect the pension liability, the change of the pension liability during the year. So because we know the inflation rate is going to be changed because of every year the actuarial will update the actuarial assumptions. So this year you can see that in the footnote, I will say page 82. There's a sections called the actuarial method and assumptions. Also, there's a section called change of the assumptions. You can see that the discount rate was reduced from 7.15% to 6.90% during this year. And also you can see that if you compare the last year actual report, you will find the difference investment ratio of the return or inflation rate, a difference. Those are also the factors that affect the pension liability during this year.
And that's page 104 in the PDF.
Yeah. Thanks,
That's what I was looking for, that
Okay.
page.
that's
Like, I know it's in there.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's anything like, change in interest rates, like, and all of that was also factoring into, like, it's not just CalPERS being bad, but maybe predominantly CalPERS not getting the returns we need. Okay.
And PERS does get a bad rep, and I know I was a little facetious. They're working very, very hard. The level of funding overall of PERS has gone up significantly. It was really at dire levels for a minute there, and that's when they were getting really aggressive with cities, like, you need to pay us money now so that we don't drop below a level where we can't sustain ourselves. So they're not in that situation anymore. They're much more stable. So things are looking in the right direction. It's just You know, pension is expensive.
Yeah, so that was my last. Okay, well, I don't have any more questions, and I don't think any of our other commission members have any questions. I would like to commend the city staff. I know you guys are in the running again for the GFOA award, is that? So rooting for you guys, lots of hard work, so, hope you guys, fingers crossed, get it this year. And that's it, so I guess, we can probably move to, motion. All right, so, Adrian, please state the motion.
Motion to recommend receipt of the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023 by city council.
Okay, do I have a motion and a second for the stated motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right. Jim, a second. So all in favor of city council receiving the report? Aye. All right, unanimous vote. So, I think with that, we can adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have fun, Lynn.
Thank you.
Where should
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Colorado.